Keefe D's case just took another explosive turn, and jurors have now heard audio that prosecutors believe could be one of the most important pieces of evidence yet. The recording appears to show Davis discussing what happened around Tupac's death, including an alleged payment connected to the aftermath. But the audio wasn't the only thing that caught attention. Davis's reaction inside the courtroom made the moment even more intense.
Did a specific, like, hey, I'm serious, I want you guys to these guys. Like,
when he told me the greenback.
How'd that go? Like, what was the conversation?
And who's he?
Huh?
And that's where the recording becomes especially significant. Davis reportedly mentioned Diddy while discussing the events surrounding Tupac's death. But prosecutors weren't simply interested in the name being mentioned. They were focused on what Davis appeared to say about expecting money after Tupac was killed.
This gets the judge's attention and then unleashes.
I get beat up by the cops. The guy attacked me in here, sent me to prison. This is wrong, and it's supposed to do this job.
This guy, being the prosecutor, fires back.
For the record, I think he's indicating he's upset.
The first week of the Tupac Shakur murder trial has now ended, but the courtroom has already produced several dramatic moments. Day 5 featured another police recording, renewed discussion involving Sean Puffy Combs, and a heated confrontation between Dwayne Keefe D. Davis and the prosecution. The recording played for jurors came from a previous LAPD interview where Davis described his version of events surrounding Tupac's shooting. Prosecutors are now asking the jury to consider those statements alongside the rest of the evidence.
Left alongside. That's true.
It's audio that prosecutors call a confession, played Thursday in court during Tupac's murder trial. Jurors hearing 2.5 hours of audio from a December 2008 LAPD interview with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who'd been promised immunity at the time, as investigators spoke with him while looking into the 1997 LA murder of rapper Biggie Smalls. Davis walking investigators through the events leading up to the fatal shooting of Tupac Shakur in September of 1996 on alleged orders from rapper Sean Puffy Combs in late 1995.
What made it a specific, like, hey, I'm serious, I want you guys to kill these guys? Like,
When he told me the greenback.
how'd that go? Like, what was the conversation?
And who's he?
Huh?
Puff said.
The audio played in court continuing with a play-by-play leading to what he claimed was his crew's drive-by shooting of Tupac near the Las Vegas Strip the night of September 7th, 1996, and how he handed a gun to his nephew who fired the shots.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They would have drove on my side, I would have popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Prosecutors say the immunity agreement that Davis had been offered was invalidated when he went public with his story and published a book and participated.
According to Davis's account, Sean Combs allegedly wanted action against his rival, Death Row Records boss Suge Knight, who was in the BMW with Tupac that night. But this allegation remains just that, an allegation. Combs has repeatedly denied involvement in Tupac's death and has never been named as a suspect in the murder.
When he came home, he had an attitude, and getting on death row was his way of, like, his own now. You know what I'm saying? So he already had an agenda, I think. And Suge just let him roll with it.
So he gets out, and there's essentially between Bad Boy and Death Row.
Yeah.
Because, Death Row is, one of their two biggest artists is beefing with Bad Boy, so now Suge is beefing with Puffy.
It was a power move for Suge. Suge was already beefing before Tupac. This wasn't just Tupac and Biggie. Suge was trying to get at Puffy and trying to bully him like he was bullying everybody else.
Right, because some of Puffy's associated artists were now, coming to Death Row, like Jodeci.
Yeah.
Like Mary J. Blige.
All of them was Mary J. Blige. Suge's supposed to went to the people who wasn't paying her right and helped her out of her situation. Him and Puffy was at it before Tupac even touched ground in LA. And I think Puffy just wasn't biting into the shit. We lost a homeboy, Big Jake, out there. Got in the shooting. You know what I'm saying? Suge came home. How the f*** is that? You know what I'm saying? He's out there riding with you, taking care of business. Suge was in some shady shit, doing too much and trying to flex. And he didn't have his bodyguards like he normally have. So he was out there thinking people is like really scared of him now. He couldn't take advantage of that this time. Puffy and them wasn't biting into that this time.
Right, they had their own.
Yeah, he had too. He had people with the business.
He had guys like Wolf and everything.
That was ready to go.
Yeah.
That was ready to go. So he didn't benefit off of that. Because if he could have got Puffy,
That distinction is crucial because this case has been surrounded by competing stories for decades. Some claims became famous through interviews and documentaries, while others came directly from people connected to the events. Now prosecutors are presenting Davis's own recorded statements to the jury and allowing them to decide what those statements actually mean.
Things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed about it.
Jurors were also shown material from a BET documentary discussing the central mystery, who shot Tupac. The filmmaker argued that Davis's accounts over the years contained enough consistency to support the prosecution's theory, including the claim that the shooting came from the back seat.
Almost a decade afterwards, have consistencies which suggest to them that he's telling the truth each and every time, that subtle inconsistencies or immaterial inconsistencies, like maybe like the color of a car or the color of someone's shirt, doesn't matter, but the thrust of what he is saying, that he, Keefe D, handed a gun to his nephew Orlando Anderson, that they orchestrated this and planned this in retribution for what happened earlier in the evening, that is consistent. That's what the prosecution is arguing here.
When questioning the documentary filmmaker, the defense pointed out that Keefe D wasn't under oath during that interview. Do you think he's foreshadowing Davis potentially taking the stand?
Diane, I would say foreshadowing, or at the very least keeping that door open to see whether or not the jury is kind of picking up the argument that he's putting down, so to speak. He's trying to show a difference between entertainment and the court of law. Giving an interview or speaking for a documentary, that's entertainment. Speaking in a proffer agreement, that's in order to save his own skin. But when he's under oath, he's telling the truth. That could be a signal to suggest that the story or the version of the story he's going to give when he has the opportunity to take the stand may be the truth, but it's still up to Keefe D as to whether or not he decides that. So it could be a foreshadowing or just kind of seeing if.
But Davis still maintains that he wasn't even in Las Vegas when Tupac was shot. He has pleaded not guilty, and the state still has to prove its case. That's where Gene Deal enters the story. Deal has openly questioned Davis's version of events, arguing that the story he heard was different from the account that eventually became associated with Keefe D.
Happened in Vegas with Tupac?
Well, the story I heard was the story I heard was which was portrayed in the movie or whatever like that, and it was Greg Kading accounts that supposedly Keefe D gave. You understand? You understand? If you ever been in an interrogation or anything that has to do with some law enforcement, right? Before they get to that videotape, before they get to that camera, you understand? It's already written down what you're gonna say. They're gonna tell you what they need for you to say and how they need for you to think and what you need to do to get out this situation.
Questioned the role of Eric Von Zip Martin and the claim that he provided Davis with a gun. Deal argued that Von Zip was a boss and would have had other people around him who could carry weapons. He also questioned why Von Zip was included in the story and suggested his connection to Puffy may have been significant. Even further, by rejecting the idea that Orlando Anderson was necessarily the shooter. According to Deal, witnesses described a large black arm coming from the window. If that account is accurate, it could challenge one of the most widely accepted versions of what happened that night.
On, Orlando instead of Big Dre, because they both dead. So, does it really matter?
Who did he put the shooting on first, brother? Keefe D put the shooting on Orlando first, because Dre and Orlando was living. When they got to Keefe D, Dre was dead. Had Dre still been alive and Keefe D went under that thing, do you think Keefe D would have said Dre, if Orlando was alive, do you think Keefe D would have said Orlando did it? He wouldn't have said that. That's his nephew. That's his family. He wouldn't have went out like that. He put it on the dead man. Dre died after Orlando. You understand? All these cases in California, they try to put it on a dead man. It's easy to solve to saying that the dead man did it. Keefe D said it because Orlando was dead. But if you talk to the people in California, you talk to his family, Orlando didn't do it. Dre was bragging about it, but Keefe D made a deal. So he has to stick with what he told them.
Another theory comes from Whack 100, who has questioned Suge Knight's actions that night. His argument is not necessarily that Suge ordered Tupac's killing, but that Suge should have done more to protect him.
He blamed Suge for Tupac getting killed.
Yeah.
Because it should have been up to him to protect him better.
Yeah, he wasn't, first of all, you seen what happened. Suge understands who he's dealing with, or what that just happened with, right?
Yeah.
I would have off the top shut my artist down. And if I would have shut him down, I would have moved him in a way to where could nobody get to him. Suge, you know what you doing, don't do. Like, it ain't no security on it.
Okay, so
That's like right now, Black.
Yeah, right now, with Blueface. Blueface just jumped on some dude and all his security dudes mob on the dude and beat him up, and you know the guy they just jumped is an active gang member with multiple murders that he's being investigated for. What would you do with Blueface at that point?
15 South.
Back home.
Immediately. We getting back to what we could control. We ain't doing no party, I know it's coming. Certain people you know, if you do like that and let them get away, it's coming. You can't even enjoy the night. So now we got to deal with what we done created. We done started a fire. This ain't my neck of the woods. I don't want to fight the fire here. Let me get back to my home front where I can deal with this. Period. No way.
All right, that would have completely saved Pac's life.
Out of there. Save his life. You know.
Yeah, Suge wouldn't have gotten shot himself.
Nope.
Yeah, 100%.
We out.
You know, even though there's a party at Club 662, whatever. This is more
Y'all
important.
still had a party. Pac wasn't hosting the party. The party's just a fight party because Mike Tyson fighting. Yeah. First of all, 48 laws of power. Don't be the common man. Don't be what they expect you to be.
Yeah.
We're out. And as the one that was supposed to have been leading that, he should have made the right decision. Instead, everybody partying and bullshitting and
Whack believes Suge failed to recognize the danger surrounding Tupac. Meanwhile, Bobby Ladd has questioned whether Suge himself could be a reliable witness. With so many years having passed and so few major witnesses remaining, credibility could become one of the biggest issues in this case.
Suge Knight, he has no credibility. He lies all the time. So I think that's really the only avenue they could take, unless they have some stuff that they didn't tell me. And they wouldn't tell me even if they did. So.
Speaking of Suge, how do you feel about him coming out saying that he won't testify against Keefe D?
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because that's the way he grew up. He's not going to, in prison, he doesn't want to get that snitch jacket on him, let's say. But I mean, if you're going to blame anybody, you'd have to blame Suge. See, I mean, they grew up, him and Keefe D grew up playing football on the same team. And I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he looked at him and saw who he was, and he refused to come forward. Maybe this case could have been solved a long time ago if he would have done something. I mean, Tupac has family, right? They need, closure, I would say. They want closure. And now they're finally getting it, but it's not because of Suge. To me, he's kind of selfish. Really, just thinking about himself. When he could have probably put an end to this a long time ago. But now over the years, he's given so many different stories and lies about everything. So he has no credibility now, even if they called him. I think I saw his recent interview on TMZ where, he's saying how Orlando is a good kid and he came and testified on his behalf. Well, I mean,
I heard Mom James and there's Reggie Jr. say, hey, we heard that he paid him off to come testify for him. Thousands of dollars. And then, and he's saying he doesn't have anything against Keefe. I mean, that's bullcrap, man. So this one lie after another comes out of that guy's mouth. So why would they call him as a witness now? I mean, the defense would have a field day. Didn't you say this and this and this, and now you're saying this and this? It's just not going to fly. And if he would have come forward at the very beginning and told the truth.
Mob James has offered another explanation for why Suge Knight may not simply come forward and identify Tupac's alleged killer. His perspective adds yet another layer to a case already filled with conflicting accounts.
Investigator. He's worked on a lot of cases. Worked on the Michael Jackson case, worked on the Bill Cosby case. And, he's basically part of Tom Messero's team. Tom Messero is the lawyer who represented Michael Jackson, represented Bill Cosby, and was also representing Suge Knight. How did you get on that case?
I got a call from a young lawyer who was representing Suge and wanted me to have dinner with him, and I did. And he said Suge Knight would like you to consider defending him, and one thing led to another. And for 7 months, I represented Suge Knight. Then I had a falling out with various people, and I basically withdrew from the case. But, Suge was always decent to me. Very bright guy, very creative, a lot of leadership ability, very talented man, and always treated me well. I have to say that. But there were some differences that developed. They're confidential, and I'll leave it at that. But I only have decent things to say about him.
And ultimately, he ended up leaving. Something happened between him and Suge. He didn't really want to get into it, but ultimately he left.
Was it because Suge didn't have the money that he wanted?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because in our interview, Scott Ross said that Suge was actually considering exposing Tupac's shooter in order to pay for his defense.
But Suge liked to just talk, and one of the conversations that we had was he was trying to figure out how to raise some money. He said he didn't have any money. And again, we needed experts. For example, we needed his eye expert. We needed his doctor, and they're not going to come in for free. And in order to do that, he was talking to me about trying to sell either the information, do a book, something about the Tupac shooting. And those were the types of conversations that we had.
People can call Suge a lot of shit, but I don't think Suge would have put himself in that type of situation, knowing that he's going.
So after all these years, the biggest question remains: who really killed Tupac Shakur? Is Keefe D finally providing the missing piece, or are there still major parts of the story we haven't heard? What do you think about Gene Deal's theory? Let us know in the comments below.